Portugal. There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como estão? How you doing? Bom dia, Gumpers, says Jackie. Good morning to you, Jackie. Thank you for being here. Oh, I see that little S means you're a member of the YouTube channel. Nice one. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers, from the 8th day of sunny blue skies. Belfast, a cool 5 degrees, says Deagle. Overnight, it'll be 12 today, 12 degrees. What's all this about rain? You can shiver your rain. You absolutely can. Morning to you, Sarah, as well. Thank you for being here. Let's have a look a little deeper into the puddle of rain outside mine and most houses. I casually posted a link to a recent Portugal news article. What's the coldest place in Portugal? And I have to say, it was my living room. Enough already, and I have been moaning quite a lot, and I feel like I've been vindicated now. Thank you very much, Deagle, for sending me this overnight. It would appear Portugal has had the wettest month roughly in 30 years of prolonged rain. No, not it feels like 30 years of prolonged rain, but it's the wettest month for 30 years, says Deagle, with the evidence there. It's on X, so it must be true. It's awful, but locals, for tourists, it's awful, and for Carl Munson, but locals and farmers delighted. What? I've not met a delighted local. I guess if they are a farmer or if they work for the water corporation or something like that, they might be delighted. They have harvested rain for spring and summer drought. Well, I believe the reservoirs are full now, so full that they are. There's a bit of letting going on, and they're trying the taps. It's amazing, isn't it, when a reservoir, when a dam gets its spigot, its faucet opened, and all the gunk comes out. I think they're doing that down in the Algarve at the moment. But yes, it's not normal. I mean, it's rain. Rain is natural, but this much of it, not so much for 30 years. Thank you very much, Deagle, for confirming what I could feel in my water. How are you doing this morning? Do let me know in the chat. Bon dia, everyone, from Mike and Karen as well in Miranda de Córdoba. And thank you. Was it you that invited me to the group over there? Are you like me? Do you belong to groups around the country where you don't live? It's nice, isn't it, to have a little bit of vicarious local pleasure by joining social media groups in other parts of Portugal. I'm in quite a few, and I enjoy it, and I like it when they allow me to join. So thank you to the one that is, I think, Lausanne, Miranda de Córdoba, and somewhere else. And if you're moving here, and we are talking about the most popular places where people are buying property in Portugal this morning, if you're moving here, it's a great way to put the finger on the pulse of that part of Portugal. And sensible moderators and owners of such groups will allow you to join, and they will trust that your intentions. You go through that whole process, don't you? A bit like saying that you've read the 300 pages of terms and conditions on a piece of software. Yes, I agree to the group rules. I mean, maybe there are people who read those things. I don't know. Are you one of those people? Bom dia, Portugal and Gumpers. This morning from João Ernesto Donot. We've got a great guest on Monday, João Ernesto Donot. I recorded the first episode. It's coming out tonight at 6 o'clock with this man. I'm going to come back to where most people are looking to buy in Portugal are actually looking, if I wasn't too clumsy a way of expressing myself this morning. And the bitter debate on the motion of confidence in the government or lack thereof. We'll see if there's going to be an election or not. I think it's become quite a Portuguese thing, as in it depends. I can't get a straight answer on this. Maybe you can help me. But yeah, recorded this last night, the first episode of our first season of six episodes, first season of the Positive Echo podcast, asking the question, and it was Gary Coulton here, is his dad, who said, what kind of echo will you leave when you're gone? It sounds very gladiator-esque, doesn't it? What we do now echoes throughout eternity. What we do in life echoes throughout eternity. So, I'm sorry to misquote you, Maximus, there, but you get the gist. What kind of echo will you leave when you're gone? What kind of ripples in the pond of life will be your legacy? Talk about legacy media. Well, I think we reinvented it last night, and he's going to be our guest for the session for the Portugal Club Mastermind, the leading lights of Good Morning Portugal and the the Portugal Club. We have our meeting on the third Monday of the month, and he's coming along to be our guest. He wrote this book, as you can see behind his bonce there, Gary Coulton's Demons to Champions, How I Fell in Love with My Neurodivergent Maverick Mind. What an interesting fella. And also, John, he's coming to the Storytellers. All roads lead to. There's going to be a day of Mavericks at the Storytellers, where a number of people who are, I suppose, experts in the field of neurodiversity will be coming along to the Storytellers Hotel. Marco, the owner there, has a special connection to the whole world of neurodiversity. And Gary Coulton, I'll be meeting him in person there, and he'll be running a little workshop on the beach, apparently, as well. So looking forward to that. And we'll be doing an interview with him live on our YouTube channel at 8. And then the mastermind folks can have a private audience with him at 8:30 tomorrow Monday. Next week, what? Was that a little outburst of neurodiversity there? Next Monday, 8:30, the mastermind will be able to be in a private audience with Gary Coulton and ask him further questions that may have arisen from my chat with him. And you can join me, actually, mastermind group members. If you want to sign up for that, go to GMP. Actually, no, go to coffee.com/GMP for the mastermind level. If you really want to get behind what we're doing here at Good Morning Portugal and support us and get a few benefits of that kind. Right. The Bon Dia Daily, then. Let's get back to this story. I said it, didn't I? It's made up. It's a story, but there is some interesting info here that may arouse your interest, pique your interest. Where are most people looking to buy property in Portugal? Let's have a look at this. Especially useful to you if you're one of those people. If you're a gumper to be who's looking and watching the show, looking at Portugal and thinking, where should I buy somewhere to live? I mean, that's useful as well, isn't it, in terms of areas for places to rent as well. The cost of housing in most of the most sought after municipalities exceeds 300,000 euros, reveals data from Idealista/data. Of the 50 most sought after municipalities for buying a house in Portugal, and which have a supply of more than 500 properties for sale, that excludes a few places then. 20 are located in Greater Lisbon and completely dominate the top 10 positions in this ranking. Interesting. Lisbon and the greater metropolitan area of Lisbon still dominating, it would appear. Amadora is the most sought-after municipality of all for purchasing housing, followed by Odivelas, Eiras, Vila Franca de Gira, and Loures, according to Idealista data. That's what it says for the last quarter of 2024. The municipality of Lisbon was the 8th most searched in this period. You have to go down to 12th position to find the first municipality in the Porto district most sought after for buying a house, Valongo. There's a lot of Valongos in Portugal, just so you know. If you search Valongo, you're going to get quite a lot of results on that. In addition to this, the Invicta territory has only 5 other municipalities among the most researched: Paredes, Maia, Gondomar, Matosinhos, and Vila do Conde. Unsurprisingly, these names come up, don't they? Especially Matosinhos, Vila do Conde increasingly as well. As we move down the top 50 most sought after municipalities to buy a house, we see that the locations are diversifying to other districts and islands, such as Aveiro, Braga, Faro, Leiria, Madeira Island, Santarém, and São Miguel Island in the Açores. And 3 major absences in this ranking are obvious. The municipalities of Porto itself, Faro, and Funchal are not among those that generate the most interest in purchasing housing. More at that article on the Portugal News, for which I will post the link into the chat now. Any views on that? I've got a great quiz for you this morning. Oh, hi, Carl. Carl Hyde is here this morning as well. That may well be of interest to you. We're talking about property with Paul Rees, of course, who's joining me at 8:20, and Heather Binder, I'm sure, will have something to say about the increasing popularity of Caldas da Rainha, Calidash, with all of that American interest in Caldas as well. Are you trying them teeth out for a friend? Yes, I must remember. Put my teeth back in, or just trying these out for a friend. Thank you, Deagle, for coming to my assistance there with an explanation of not being able to speak properly this morning. Enough blue in the sky to patch a hole in a sailor's coat. It's going to be a nice day. Get up Get out, enjoy today. Deagle being very direct with you this morning. It's a bit of a debate. Say that 3 times fast. Also see if a non-native English speaker can understand you. It's a bit of a debate. It's a bit of a debate. Simply live, Mel, with a bon dia as well. Good morning to you, Mel. Great to see you, Carl. Gary Coulton seems quite interesting to me. Yes, and you will next Monday if you so choose. Coach Tony, you might like to come along as well. Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz Carta. Off to visit Norwich today. A couple of museums and apparently some shopping. Get those 3 emojis right there. Right, a little quiz for you before we try and make sense of the election or not election here. And I'm going to bring onto the screen a graphic. This came up. No, not that one. You can go. That's the Portugal news item I just went through. Now, if you go to the Portugal Club, you will see that in a long line, I post up all or many of the memes that we giggle about. Oh, morning, Jess, as well. Hello to you, Jess. Good to see you here. And I've got a long thread over there, and I will put the link to that as well. Memes of the morning is what I've called it. And there's one there that I posted up, to which Antonio F said, "What is that? The dream vacation spot?" Now, what do you think this is? If I blow this up a little bigger, let me give you the link to it so you can have a guess for yourself over there. If you pop over to the Portugal Club, that's the link for doing so. If I blow this up a bit, we've got loads of wonderful maps and memes over there. This being one of them. Excuse me, Jess, I need to take your message off the screen for just a moment so we can see Portugal. Now, you'll see here that clearly the first thing you might notice is that this map is mislabeled. That's not Sweden, that's Italy. That's not UK, that's not Italy, that's UK. Greece, no, that's not Greece, that's Ireland. You'll see here that the names on the map, this is quite difficult to explain. The names on the map describe something in the country that the label is on. So for example, in United Kingdom, they think the answer to this question is Italy. In Portugal, they think the answer to this question is Brazil. A lot of people think Italy is the answer to this question. My geography doesn't allow me to give you further examples. But in Italy, the answer to the question is Sweden, even though a lot of other countries think it's Italy. What is the question? What is the question? If the answer is mostly Italy, if in Portugal it's Brazil, and in Ireland it's Greece, what do you think the question is? We'll come back to that, because when I posted that up, I neglected to say what this map. This is one of those terrible maps. Is it me, or are there more meme maps on social media now than there have ever been? I think that is the case. So what is the question then? If the answer is Brazil in Portugal, Greece in Ireland, and Italy, for example, in the United Kingdom. Favorite place to retire to? Good guess, Deagle. No, it's not that. It's not that. Morning, Pete. Pete will have a stab at this, I'm sure, as well. Nice to be back home, even if it's 5:10 in the afternoon, Japan time. Oh, Gary Coulton, who I was talking about, he had a lovely time. He was telling me about the time he went to Kyoto. He's full of fantastic anecdotes. Naughtiest weather broadcasting. What? What? No, that's not the answer. Is that something you're accusing me of, Peter? Right. Finally, then, this election, before we speak to Paul Rees at 8:20, and we've got Heather Binder joining us. Heather's got some great. She's got American problems. Yes, let's, Carl. Thank you very much for that, and good for you. No, I don't. Choose the way. Oh, that's another message that's coming in. I'm guessing choose something upbeat. Okay, thank you for that. That's actually from Gary. Now, where's Heather? Heather is going to be joining me at 8:40. She's got American problems like, let's do some things you don't learn until you live here. Silly stuff like locking yourself out and how to work a milk carton. Are milk cartons different in the US? Milk cartons are not a thing in the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, we have a glass bottle and it has a foil top on it. And we have to put a little cup over it in the morning because after old Ernie's been, the tits come out and peck the foil. Tits out, and pecking the foil. If you've just tuned in, this is the Good Morning Portugal show. Good morning to you. Right. Coach Turner, you think the question is, where do the most immigrants come from? An educated guess there. Where is the mafia from? Oh, my goodness. It feels like I should answer this before it gets any more awkward and difficult. Who makes the best pizza? I'm loving this quiz. Paul, you might not have seen this. He's joining me in a few minutes. Why does Portugal think it's Brazil? Why does Ireland think it's Greece? Why does the UK think it's Italy? What is the question here that has, let's go somewhere else, that has Italy saying it's Sweden? Very good guesses, everybody. Loving this quiz this morning. Peter, good time to go visit our impoverished friends across the pond with the dollar down 4% yesterday. It's a little bit of a gloat there, possibly. I'm not sure. Interesting to watch it all unfold, though. And where was I? Yes, this election. Okay, let's go to the bitter debate that has been raging in the Parliament. Tell you a little bit more about that and try and find out if there's actually going to be an election, or is it still a depends matter, classic depends matter here in Portugal. Right. I think we're going to go to some reporting from Natasha Don in the Resi for this morning. Bitter debate on motion of confidence signals new elections in May. Signals, let's find out if that's confirmed or not. There's Ventura finding out which way the wind is blowing in the Parliament. PM accused of arrogance and haughtiness. Really, in politics? I can't believe it. The afternoon has seen bitter debate in Parliament as MPs discuss the motion of confidence presented by the minority PSD-CDS government that seems destined to fail, triggering new elections. According to the latest polls, 70% of Portuguese citizens have said they cannot see any reason for elections over the thorny issue of whether or not... You see, the people don't want it. Well, according to those latest polls, I guess you have to dig a little bit deeper, don't you, to find out how representative that is. Anyway, whether or not the PM's former business interests constitute a conflict of interest in his current position. Much more telling, however, are the responses to other questions in the poll undertaken by Peter Gorica for Jornal de Noticias. Of the 70% of people who do not want elections, and I mean, I'm with them on that. Is that what we need right now? The majority answered, and I think this is another one of those ways of punishing the government, isn't it? It drifts away from the original stimulus or stimulation for the issue. And like so many things now, it's just a way of punishing governments for people who don't feel like they have much control, I suppose. That would be my view on this. The majority answered that if they have to come, they would prefer Montenegro off the ballot paper. In other words, the option for President Marcelo to decide that instead of elections, he could persuade the minority executive to propose another leader, and that remains very much on the table. But in between all this has come the various speeches and interventions in Parliament, accusing the Prime Minister of being the architect of his own downfall. Aren't we all, though, to be fair? As satirist Ricardo Araújo Pereira said on Sunday, after surviving 2 months of censure, I think Natasha likes this, what Senora Pereira said, insisting on a motion of confidence, which almost all parties say they will reject, was an act of self-harm akin to taking a bath with an electrical toaster attached to a faulty power cable. That's escalated. This afternoon, the government was in no doubt as to what opposition parties thought of it, and its appeals to PS Socialist for support in the interest of the nation. Chega being particularly scathing, saying that a pact with it at the outset would have brought the stability the country requires. The PM had in his hands the possibility of building a historic majority, railed Chega leader Andre Ventura. But instead, they rejected Chega outright, and here we are. Here we all are at another turning point on an uncertain road. Well, you've nailed it there. And another turning point on an uncertain road. There's a lot of it about. The debate lurched clumsily through the afternoon, ending with a vote on the motion of confidence well after 7 p.m., which was rejected by the majority. More news tomorrow with a roadmap towards what looks like the third legislative elections for Portugal in 3 years. Just what we need right now. Oh, my goodness. It's 8:20. Yes, here in Portugal, on the 12th of March, it's time to bring Senor Reese onto the screen. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. I give you Paul Reese, everybody. How are you?
Bom dia.
What do you make of this, Paul?
Very, very political show this morning. What I make of the goodness me.
Yeah.
I have 2 points. Whether the public wants an election or not, tough.
It's irrelevant, right?
It can hardly be said to have, be worn out by elections every month. So just get on with it. Secondly,
okay. It's not Italy. Is that what you're saying? It's not Italy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
okay. The second point is it's up to the president to make sure that there's a stable government, and whatever horse trading needs to be done should be done before appointing the prime minister. If you look at how Antonio Costa was shoehorned into place before, there was a lot of horse dealing with the PSD last time, who in fact got the most votes, but still we ended up with a socialist government that was long and stable, whether you liked it or not. This one, it's down to the president. That's his job, and if it's got a feeble government, it doesn't help that the prime minister's being pushed into a corner over his personal business affairs. But and he's behaving badly. But if he's not a grown-up, he shouldn't have been put in the first place. That's what the president's for. So,
grown-ups in politics. Oh yeah, of course. Yes, fair enough. So he's the grown-up in the room, and the children of Parliament look up to the father of the Parliament.
The president is the wise old head. It may be his the dying days of his presidency, but he's displayed an adeptness in the past. He's also hugely popular with the public still, and not just for kissing babies and turning up at disasters.
He is the selfie king. He is the selfie king, isn't he?
He is the selfie king. Yeah, but behind that, he's was seen as independent, and he couldn't. I think because Chega had such a bad rap, if you like, even though it's relatively new, and people were saying, "Oh my God, right wing, whole of Europe's turning right wing." Just you got to talk to these people and sort it out, and that's what the president's for. That's my comment today.
He's going to knock their heads together, basically.
Yeah, he should do, because the public may not want an election. It's a costly thing. It's disruptive internationally. If you've got another complete change of government, you've got all the ministry relationships, overseas EU relationships to start again, and it's just tedious. The one good thing about a government being in power for a couple of terms is you get to know the faces, and journalists can remember the names. That's another thing. I thought Natasha's article was good. Actually.
Yeah, she is. I really like how she writes. It
is good. A lot of it is a bit tongue-in-cheek sometimes.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
And I know her well. I've known her for 20 years. So.
Really? Okay. I'd love to meet her one day.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Right. She sits down in her eyrie in Al Jazeera, banging out copy relentlessly.
Yeah, she's prolific. She's prolific. And there's a whiff of cynicism and a tongue in the cheek at the same time, isn't there? That's how I'd characterize her writing.
Well, she's unable, due to her position as working for Bruce, to perhaps fully explode in print, but I think those of us that can pick up on it realize that
yes, it's a skill, isn't it? It's a skill.
It is a skill. It is
reading between the lines. It's like silence in music, isn't it? Which I think Mozart said makes the music. It's what she doesn't say or allude points to. Yes, very good. Well done, Natasha. 2 fans here. How are you then, Paul? What have you been up to?
Good. Yeah, we've been busy selling houses, building things, dealing with architects, getting plans done, battling the weather, working out what can be done inside and outside, and consoling the plastering team who are staring out the window looking at the drips. But
how is that for you?
It's okay. It's logistics. It's a question of doing inside stuff rather than outside stuff. It sounds easy. It's not, but. We've managed to get through some pretty horrendous weather. I mean, it's been pretty bad. But we look forward to the sunshine in a week or so.
That's Is that official?
You heard it here first,
Okay,
folks.
thank you for that. No, I've been waiting for it, and I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Excellent. We've got a little bit of a video. We're looking at a couple of properties. One we both know and love, the Quinta dos Três Rios, of course, in Viseu. And let me just play this video that you sent in to me, and we'll have a little chat about this as well.
Great.
And anything else you want to bring to us. It's always great fun talking to you on your monthly visits to the Good Morning Portugal show. Let's start with this. Nice bit of chill out music there as well, and a remarkable property. Private mansions stood out for me.
Private mansion, yeah.
Yes, for those people with sort of James Bond type, delusions, I suppose. That's a private mansion.
Yeah, it's not delusional. If something like that came on the market in the UK, it would sell in a week because there's that much more money, and there's also a desire to buy old things and to renovate carefully, etc., etc. And it's not just football stars, you know, it's people that have built up property through their life and want something like the old convent. But here it's interesting because you know, is there an aspiration to own such things? There is amongst incoming foreigners, certainly.
Yes.
Portuguese, I think they look at them as a liability, and a lot of families now are selling off these older buildings because the prognosis on maintenance is only going one way.
Yes.
You know, if a roof falls in on a 16th century convent, you've got a significant bill. So it's an interesting dilemma, and I wouldn't say a lot of these buildings because per head, there's not a lot in the country, but the ones that come on the market I find fascinating, and they've got a long family history, usually stretching back to money from Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, whatever.
Yes.
This one, I'm not sure it's ever been on sale before. It was acquired by this family, I believe, in the 1800s, but it's a good old family property, and it's surplus to requirements. You know,
that's incredible.
They have a portfolio of properties, and this is the one that they don't see a private future for. So looking at various options for a new buyer, which could be a boutique hotel, head office, nurse home, care home, whatever. The key to me when I went to see it was, sure, it sits on a very nice plot of its own land, nearly 4 hectares. Next to it is a throwaway comment. There's the building land at the bottom, which is another 5 hectares, most of which is urban. So you can actually pay for the convent by developing the land. So if you're a developer, but buy 2, get 1 free. So it's
amazing. It would make a great coffee table book, wouldn't it? These incredible homes, and you said, you know, as you're observing, there are a number of them around. And it's I don't know if it's uniquely Portuguese, but it's very Portuguese, isn't it? I don't think when, you know, the Russell Crowe movie, A Year in Provence, when that came out, I don't suppose that was very popular with the Portuguese audience. The romantic notion for Brits and Americans is to get that email, isn't it? It's a dull morning at work, and a mysterious email comes in telling you that your aunt, who you never met, has left you a home in Italy or France. It's like, in UK, that would be the most amazing thing, wouldn't it? Like, thank you, winning the lottery. In Portugal, you get the email, don't you? You and your 27 cousins have just inherited another property.
I know. This did happen in the Algarve, in the Fortaleza in Praia de Luz. That's a seaside fort, probably with cannons bristling at one point. And
bristling cannons, yes.
A lovely guy was sat in his office in Paris, British, sat in his office in Paris and got a letter from a Portuguese solicitor saying you've inherited this fort from Brian, Brian, your uncle.
Wonderful.
And he did. And he said it. I knew him at the time. In fact, the fort hosted the hosted the lunches after the death of of each of my parents.
Oh,
So
really?
I knew him fairly well. And he said, talk about a life changer. He said, you just can't say no.
He picked it up and ran with it. It worked for him, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a restaurant. And now there's sort of jazz in the afternoon and it's busy and bustling. But to inherit something like that, it's an iconic. You'd recognize it if you saw the picture. It's
oh, really?
What
a lovely story. There's a movie, right?
That's there is. Yeah. So these places do exist. And around the corner from there, Ferragudo, there's the massive privately owned castle owned by a retail multimillionaire. So they are dotted around, and it's fairly easy to work out refurb costs, heat, how much to put in heating, etc. But the structure's all there. Yeah, the wood might be going on the windows, but everything is doable and fairly easy to work out the costs. And also, if it's for tourism use, these buildings, you can apply for significant grants under Portugal 2030, EU money basically, of 50-60% if you want to turn it into a hotel. So and that qualifies you for very low rate bank loans as well, in addition, for your working capital.
Good to know.
Yeah, so there are good financial reasons for someone taking it on. And if you look at the growth of the hotel sector in this country especially, it's crammed into Lisbon, Porto and the Algarve. More now are popping up in the countryside, as it's chicken and egg with tourism. Are they creating the tourism, or are they responding to? It's a bit of both, I think.
Very interesting. So you're right in the middle of this phenomenon, which for our Portuguese hosts, it doesn't seem especially exciting or attractive culturally, and the history and how property is inherited. Yet for foreigners, do you think we will see growing international interest in these incredible properties that you can find?
Definitely.
Okay, it's happening, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one I'm looking at. If you go in Pedroga Grande, which is the next municipality on from me, they don't have a hotel.
Right.
It's I wouldn't say a major municipality, but it's an extremely well-known one, well positioned, halfway between Lisbon and Porto. There's no hotel. And the council, if you want an AL license, they'll give you 3. They just want more people to to come here. They lack that basic infrastructure. So there are projects that I'm looking at to provide that in the area, again with substantial grants. So that makes it all worthwhile, as they say.
Very good.
So it is. I wouldn't say it's exclusively foreign money, but outside of Portugal, people have more money than people inside of Portugal generally.
Yes.
So we've got to roll out the red carpet and make sure the processes are easy and welcome them with open arms, as indeed we have been welcomed with open arms.
Indeed, and meet them at the airport with a donkey and cart, just like they did in the old days in the Algarve with that famous publicity stunt. I thought that was wonderful. Or the modern equivalent. And perhaps the our Portuguese hosts will begin to change their mind and feeling about this whole idea of the liability properties, and say, the foreigners are doing quite a good job on this. We need to get in on the action.
Well, I think that there's very good Portuguese developers in Lisbon taking some of the old blocks and townhouses and creating, I'd say, masterpieces in design and function.
Really?
So, but they're not. They stick where the market is. They stick where they're known, what they're good at. It's highly sophisticated. I talk to some of them, and they say, "The rural parts are for you, Senor Paul. You do that.
All yours. Yeah,
we'll do this." I mean, that'll change over time, but
I think so. Well, they just remember being sent there as kids, don't they? Or going on I was talking to a Portuguese friend, and he described the most idyllic sort of late teenage life, where he and his pals in the summer would jump on their mopeds and ride into central Portugal to find a festa. And they'd go from festa to festa as young men, having the time of their lives in the Portuguese summer. Doesn't that sound like a wonderful childhood, sort of young adulthood?
Sounds like a lot of Superboc was involved. Yeah, great.
Yes, and illegitimate children and all sorts in the country life of Portugal. I'm waiting for a punchline for this, Paul. I have a very good friend who is Chinese, but he and his wife moved to Canada. It does feel like that's a 70s joke trying to get out, doesn't it? Right there, but it might just be a true story. Right, we're staying in Viseu. Thank you for that, T-Duck. If there is a punchline, maybe we should have a look at it first before we publish it on screen. We're staying with Viseu, and obviously our friend over there, Hugh, has a remarkable place for us to share once more here. This too is a possible uses are endless, aren't they? And your imagination can run wild with this. What are your thoughts on Quinta dos Três Rios?
Três Rios, yeah, is a Georgian style, beautifully proportioned house that was built by a British industrialist, I think in the 1840s, who built also a large textile factory not far from the property, down by the river, using the water that was dammed, using that as the power source. So Hugh has redone this house to a very high standard. I mean, it is impeccable inside. River frontage. It's a lovely piece of land. There's wine making. It's a lovely mini estate. Again, next to it for sale separately are the remains of the textile factory that the council now have given the nod to, the green light if somebody wishes to turn those into tourism units or apartments. I say tourism units, it sounds awfully down market. These are substantial stone-built buildings that are just waiting to create something very special. But you see the quality of what Hugh and Jane have achieved here in the Quinta. There is a guest house at the moment, and in the attic there's further space for staff and or guests. So this, again, if it's tourism use, this could be the restaurant administration and some accommodation area, with the old Fabrica not many hundreds of yards away as the main unit. But it's beautifully done and well priced as well. But people see the price and go, oh, it's $1.5 million. If you look at the work that's gone into this, the size of the property, the river frontage, its location, it's got wine, it's got fruit production, it's got olive, it's got everything you could think of for your Portuguese lifestyle. It's literally a key in the door. You wouldn't have to.
Yes, right. Yeah. You could move in and do any of those things. It's quite amazing. Yeah. Well, dwelling. Look, there's me and Hugh.
Oh, there you are. Cheers.
What a moment! What a moment!
That's
I was
great.
talking to that last week. It really was superb. Hanging out, great hospitality. You can stay there with Hugh, and you can buy it as well. You can be Victor Kayam, and you can go there, and you can like it so much you can buy it as well. Now, you mentioned the word location, which is quite important in your business. What is it about Viseu then? These two properties from that part of the country this morning.
It's because they cropped up. I didn't seek them out. We occasionally have people contact us. Well, not occasionally. We have people contact us saying that we've seen your site. We love what you do, etc., etc. Can you help sell our rural property? And I'll say no to a lot of them because I don't have the time or effort to be selling a 150,000 euro house in somewhere remote. If it's a substantial building such as the Convento or Hughes, or up near there also we have Penedono, which is an estate that's got planning permission for 182 houses. It's ludicrous. Such a beautiful area, and the council managed to did a long and detailed report as to why they needed tourism. So it's things like that interest us, and there's two of us involved in this part of the business. Have a good chance of being listed and being worked on. Yeah,
Very
and
good.
in that regard, we are actually acting as estate agents, so we have a license for that. Not that I would ever wish to be referred to as an estate agent.
Why not?
I'm
Right.
spending most of my time bitching about them.
Well, you could call yourself a realtor, which is it's a great.
Realtor, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm licensed to sell things on behalf of other people.
You're
So
licensed to wear big braces, and if people want to get in touch with you,
this is
clearly
terrible.
you've got a sheepskin jacket somewhere, haven't you?
This is a Range Rover. Yeah, no, this is a tragedy.
Quite a fact, right?
Tragedy. But it's something actually I enjoy hugely because you meet some really interesting people. Hugh is fascinating.
Isn't he
the guy
just?
that owns Convento is old Portuguese, hugely well connected. Just really interesting characters. The Penedono estate is owned by a Dutch guy, actually, who inherited it from his dad. So
wow.
I'm representing him.
In the course of your work, you're meeting these incredible characters.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
For other incredible characters who want to get in touch with you, who like the cut of your jib, who understand, you work in a particular way and unearth and bring to light these incredible places to an international audience, you're happy to receive those calls, I'm guessing. And what's the best way for people to reach out and get in touch with you, Paul?
They can email me at
right. Okay.
paul@rural-properties.com is probably the easiest way. And there's many others that we haven't mentioned, ones that I'm working on now. There's Watch This Space, another convent coming up. That is
convents are us.
That has been fully refurbed already, so it's to the standard of Quinta Tres Rios. It's
really
quite superb, yeah. And not for that would be in my local area, so that'll be cause quite a stir when that comes.
It's like we could talk to you every week. We could definitely have our own YouTube channel, couldn't we? Going around these wonderful properties with a production.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. You know me, I'll rabbit on. I'm fascinated by the history and the ownership. What sort of people have owned these? What have they done? What was the original use? And some have been in the same family for hundreds of years.
Yes, beautiful.
I asked that question when we bought the Albergaria de São Pedro in Pedroga Grande, the old monk-run hostel. I asked the elderly owner when we were doing the deed. I said, "And how long has the family owned this?" And he said, "It's a very good question." He said, "Certainly, we've got records to the late 1700s." He said,
"Really?
Before that," he said, "I think our family must have bought it off the church." And it was certainly it was standing there in 1611. That's the earliest record I've got. So I just love the history. A normal, unassuming family who's, because of the way the family's developed, they moved to Lisbon, the kids are abroad and grown up and doing other things. They don't want a crumbling old building.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Despite its history, yeah. So that's it is, yeah. So it's first time on the market.
Wonderful. We must move on and speak to Heather, but it's always great chatting to you. Bring more, please, next time, and you can keep in touch with it. It's rural-properties.com, is it not, your website?
Yeah, it is, yeah, exactly.
Great to chat with you. Have an excellent day, an excellent week, an excellent month, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Paul. Ciao. See you, bye. And we shall keep that applause going for Heather to talk about how to open milk in Portugal. Hi, Heather.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Yes, just looking at these beautiful properties with Paul and the backstories. People still make news. It's an old, I think, journalism sort of adage, isn't it? People make news. And we love stories. And it all comes together with what Paul's doing there. The stories of these homes and houses and properties and people. Fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating. Yeah, I like that myself. And it's interesting because I didn't even learn what year my house was built until after I bought it. And you go to the city and you get the stack on the folder on your property, and it's like crazy, because I had it was listed 3 times, had 3 different years built, had 3 different square footages, had 2 different energy ratings, had different prices, like the whole 9. So that was quite interesting. And yeah, lo and behold, this one house was actually like two separate sort of spaces and connected at one point in time, and all this craziness. And which I was surprised I wasn't able to pick up just on the inside of the house, being coming from real estate and stuff. But it's interesting to see that, and kind of find out the story at some point in time. But ideally before you own it. But it's hard to get that file. They won't give you that file unless you're the owner necessarily. So
Right. Is this information in the public record in the United States?
yes. Well, yes and no. Actually, yes. Basically, the county, at least in Arizona, where I came from, the county has records, and so you can see quite a bit. There is still some confusion though, because like if you had a house and you did a remodel, they can actually take the two ages of those, like your original built and then your remodel, and like they can actually show it as like an average. It's strange.
Yeah,
My ex
that is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, my ex used to work for the county and adding properties to the tax roll, so I actually know quite a bit about it from that side.
Oh.
And so yeah, it's kind of strange. So there can be some confusion, but usually you've got like the plans or the extension, you've got a footprint, you've got some information, and it's publicly available, as well as the sales data is publicly available.
Yes, yeah.
And that's a very interesting thing that's not available in Portugal. I don't really quite understand the concepts there.
Do you think is it a cultural sort of privacy matter, do you think?
I think it must be, but it's unfortunate because it's hard to be like, well, I comped, comparable sales. I comped this property to this and this and this and this, because all you can look at is really the list prices, unless your attorney happened to have actually done the other sales. Like I found out some information just because my attorney had done like a previous sale or something like that, but it's not a good system.
You have to go digging, don't you? You have to go digging. It's not easy or obvious.
Well, yeah, because then how do you know who the attorney was? Like you don't, so it just becomes something that really, like when I was a realtor and would show houses, part of the valuation was always seeing other properties, because it was like, well, what else can I buy today for this money? And that wasn't the 100% of value. We would look at comparable sales as well, and certainly take that into consideration. But here, you really can't do that so much. So you have to get a little creative and get to know the market well, and have a trusted buyer's agent, at least in my view. But people will argue that there are not buyer's agents here, but there are.
It's happening, isn't it? Let alone that you bought it unseen. That happens too, doesn't it, with the way things are. Morning to you, James. Before we get into then being locked out of your home and opening milk in Portugal, are some of the crazy things Americans experience moving to Portugal.
You just gave them away. Like those are my two that I could even.
I had to float those because they're great. They're really good. I mean, it's like
I have more to say. You know me.
You do, okay. So is the worst nightmare being locked out whilst opening your milk?
Actually, so this literally happened. This literally happened to a client of mine.
Right. He's going outside to open the milk.
He literally texted me last week, okay? And he's like, I am literally stuck inside my house right now. Like I am locked. So he has one of those, balconies, which is enclosed. So it's like his laundry room, basically. Often.
Did you say laundry or lingerie?
Laundry.
Laundry, okay.
No lingerie, I don't think.
Just checking. Right.
Don't want to get me in trouble with my client. Anyways, he thankfully had his phone, and he also speaks Portuguese, so that helped too. And but anyways, he managed to call and get some help, but he had gone out into his balcony, which you can see. I have French doors here, and I have a balcony there, and I have the same situation. So anyways, he had gone out and the door closed, and the locks in Portugal are notoriously, for the most part, these self-locking doors,
Yes.
and they're not forgiving whatsoever.
No, they're high security sometimes, aren't they?
They're
Metal
really
frames.
intense security doors, like the Knox, like the vaults, at Fort Knox type
Yes.
of thing. I've seen, you see the ones with like the little circle steel things, like when they lock, like all this, like crazy. It's a little paranoid, if you ask me. But anyways, if someone's trying to get in, it's good, I guess, right? But needless to say, yeah, he was literally locked in his own place. So he could have been trying to open milk, locked on his balcony. He wasn't, though.
Yes.
The milk is a separate thing, which I'll
All
talk
right.
about in a minute.
We shall return to that.
But it's interesting. So if I look at the doors behind me, those are interesting, French doors, because they actually don't close. Okay, so they close from the inside.
Yeah.
But they don't close from the outside. There's no handle.
Yeah.
There's no latch. They literally don't close from the outside. So it's very strange. But then if I go out into my hallway here, there's another door, and that's an exterior door going to the same balcony. It's like an L-shaped balcony. And that door locks. So literally, if I go out that door and close it, I'm locked out of my house.
Yeah. And that's happened, I'm guessing.
No, it hasn't. Thank
okay.
goodness I realized it. But I realized it, and I was like, that is so not cool. So in my brain, I just don't ever even think about that other door, because then that way I can't lock myself out.
I think this does happen to Portuguese people as well. I have seen people being rescued from their balconies by the bombeiros. In Alcobaça. I think I saw a bomberos go up the ladder and rescue a woman from her balcony.
Yes.
But it's still, this persists, doesn't it? This door furniture issue and security issue here.
Well, one of my friends had this issue with the doors not locking, and they had a contractor that for like, I don't know, $10 or something was able to put some little latchy thing on it that then made it lock.
Yes.
But mine don't have the same thing that his do. So I would need to have sort of that, that sort of lock on the outside that you like turn down, so then it would catch the door from being able to push into the house. Like I would need some sort of manual thing on the outside of my door that turns, that actually would close it in a not super secure way, but I would be out on my balcony at the time I would be doing that, so it doesn't matter.
Yes, maybe this hasn't been overcome because it's so flipping complicated as well. John,
I don't think it is. So here's what I did. Okay. Because I had elderly parents here at the house. Sorry, I have a hair somewhere. I can't even see it. Hopefully you guys can't. Anyways, I have had elderly parents here when I first moved. My dad's in assisted living now. My mom passed. But I put keyless entry in like right away, because I was like, I can just see my elderly parents like locking themselves out of the house. Not that they ever went outside, but by chance, if they wanted to. So I put the keyless entry pad, so you can just do the code to get in. So that's one way, but you don't want that on your balcony. I mean, it's not cheap,
You could put retina scanning on
that would actually be good, because you need like, especially for seniors, like,
and some of those lasers. We need Mission Impossible lasers on the floor as well.
Yeah, then you don't have to remember a code or anything. So this is a warning to people coming and visiting, to people just moving here, whatever. Like, be careful and be prepared.
It's real. The danger is real.
No,
Heather,
it's a very serious thing. Yeah,
I know somebody who got locked inside their apartment, and that's it. You associate being locked out more than locked in, really, don't you? And I know somebody who arrived in, this is after a long journey from America.
Yeah.
And they get to their apartment and they're all, excited and tired and all the rest of it. And then just to go outside or somewhere else in their apartment to get a case or something, suitcase. And they had their dog with them. And so they were locked
geez.
inside, away from their dog,
Oh, wow.
on their day of arrival here. And fortunately,
Yeah.
that's when the other side of the beauty of the culture kicks in, where the neighbor who they hadn't met yet brings them a bowl of soup and a bag of oranges. So it's kind of balanced, isn't it, with this strange security thing with Portuguese hospitality. But it's a real thing. John picking up on this. Speaking of doors, originally our doors had no handle on the outside, so even if technically still open, you had no way of opening it if you forgot your key. If you wander outside like the Big Lebowski without your keys in your dressing gown pocket, handles on both sides of the door. And I wonder why that is.
I've asked, and it's security, which
Okay.
is weird because my property is gated. My balcony is a balcony, so it would take some effort to climb up it. You'd be more likely to, break a window or do something on the first floor, is ground zero floor here, and to get in, then you would like a ladder up to the balcony and then climb over. And I mean, it's like, I don't think that's happening. So, so yeah, weird.
Yes, as I understand it, says James, break-ins and burglaries, and we will come back to the quiz as well. We need your view on this, Heather, which is always excellent. Your way of seeing the world, I find endlessly fascinating, and I think you'll have a special answer for the quiz this morning. As I understand it, break-ins and burglary are among the highest quantity of crime in Portugal. Hence the attention to home security, dogs, old women on balconies, and modern alarm systems.
Hey, it's not just old women, unless you're calling me an old woman, which I kind of
Can you get
now,
one of those? Is it possible to buy an old woman to put on your balcony as an extra security measure?
I'm not me, but maybe.
So you have to feed them, presumably. So I wouldn't say super secure self-locking doors are particularly paranoid. Pete, I may have locked myself out of the shed, but after a quick text mentioning idiot husband to the mayor, someone came round and opened it within an hour. He's a VIP in his area. The mayor coming round and giving him access.
Nice.
Before we go to the quiz, then, milk. What's the big deal? Spilt milk. No good crying over it in Portugal.
Okay. So I've been here almost 4 years.
Yep.
And
you still haven't opened.
You still learn things. So my husband ordered a coffee the other day in a coffee shop and learned the magic of the milk. Okay.
The magic of the milk, everybody.
The magic of the milk.
Woo!
And he had literally complained to me about this a couple weeks prior to this. So he's like, I miss the old milk, plastic milk jugs in the US or whatever, that just poured normal. Because every time I pour my milk here, it splashes, burps, it's kind of a mess. And I was let me just
dwell on that for a moment. So as we know, us non-Americans, we see milk in films. And as I recall, an American would go to their walk-in fridge and they would get out a massive quart, I think it is, of milk.
It's a two quart, big old, or you can do the one singles.
Yeah,
but I grew up with
old jug, isn't it?
Yeah, I grew up with the giant jug that's really heavy because it's huge. Yeah,
and you read it while you're having your cereal, don't you? So you put your Fruit Loops. Yeah, you put your Fruit Loops in the bowl, and the milk is on the table, and you can see that missing people. You can read.
Oh, no! The missing people was the cartons, and those were usually the little cartons that you had as a kid or in high school and stuff like that. So
you'd be terrified reading these grisly things about missing people on the milk. This is all part of the Great American Breakfast, obviously.
Obviously, save it for Netflix or something. So so here I have an unopened.
You're zooming in the magic of the milk before your very eyes.
So this has, if you can see it, this has this V lip here on both sides. It's a paper carton, and it has this screw top on the top. So how I had been opening my milk, and my husband as well, is just simply unscrewing this and using it, which you can do. But you also make a little bit of a mess, at least when the first time you use it. Okay?
You do.
But what my husband did when he went and he ordered his Meia de Leite or Golau, whatever he got, is he sees this Portuguese woman reach up, slip her knife under this side, so this.
Yeah.
But on this side, slip that, and then lift it up.
Make a spout.
Do that, make a spout, and then crack this open to
To allow
allow
the
for
airflow.
And now,
oh, Heather, you've made. I think you've made.
did
today
you know this? Did you know
I
this?
didn't.
You didn't know this? Oh my
No,
gosh!
but it's one of those things, isn't it, that you see on the internet where it says, "How is it? I'm 65 and I didn't learn this until today."
Yeah.
It makes complete sense, obviously.
Exactly.
Something I saw like that was how, inside some of these plastic tops, there's like in an olive oil, you pull out, there's a plastic ring pull. Apparently, you turn it upside down and push it back in, and that's a flow regulator. I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. I know what you're talking about. Yes. I have no idea.
We'll do that next time. Right? That's
like exactly. Like, it's so weird because there's certain things here that are like, they're like kind of behind on or missing technology wise. But then you have like things like this that are kind of like brilliant.
Yeah.
The flow thing.
Be doing it.
You know what?
Going to be doing it. There's a flow regulator.
Isn't there a flow regulator on the milks too? No, I don't see that here.
No, not necessarily, but in the olive oil.
I don't see that here. But this, I haven't done this myself yet, but my husband showed me this the other day. It was like,
we had a program called Blue Peter back in the UK, and you were like a Blue Peter presenter with that demonstration. Here's one I made earlier. That was fantastic. Same issue with oat milk. Tea Ducks Day has been made. Thank you so much, Heather. I'm not sure if it applies to Vietnamese iced salt coffee. Ooh, total revelation.
Ooh, that sounds good.
The Vietnamese's iced salt coffee, espresso with a half a teaspoon of salt. Doesn't sound so great so far.
No, I think it would.
That sounds like a prank.
Ooh.
Where you
Are you kidding? No, because it's sweet. Condensed milk, which is like candy. Okay.
Yeah.
Ice. And then so you get the salty and sweet.
Together.
My husband had me put salt on watermelon the other day. Have you ever done that?
That sounds all right. Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, what a morning. What a morning this has been. Magic in your mouth for hours.
Salt on watermelon.
All right, thank you. Well, steady. You're overloading us now.
Got excited.
My almond milk carton flows just great. Thank you very much. It's a specific brand, but I never have any issues.
Oh, well, almond milk. Get fancy.
Oat milk always reminds me of Baldrick's coffee and Blackadder the Third. Heather, it's awesome. Okay, that's the bit. I think simple for solutions, for simple problems, for simple people, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
See, I have solutions like this with visa processing and moving and all of that, but this is, this is.
Can we help here? Because we still got to go to the quiz. It's after 9, but permit us to just go for a couple more minutes. I miss fresh milk. Oh, Q violins. Hard to get here. UHT milk is horrible. Do you know what? I never thought I'd get used to it, and I have. And you can get fresh milk. You
can get fresh milk, absolutely. You can get goat's milk. You can get all kinds of milk.
Not as easy, though. I mean, you generally, on the milk aisle, it's all UHT.
Leclerc has goat's milk, and there's a local farm here,
Flordeval, right? You go to Flordeval?
Yeah, I haven't been there yet. I actually really do want to go. I want to go.
Yeah,
but
the cows seem quite happy. They go milk themselves. It's amazing. Get a goat. There you go.
They have goats.
But this is another way of having fresh milk, apparently. Just getting
a goat?
Yes, just take your coffee underneath the goat, give it a couple of squeezes, and hey presto. You can get fresh milk in. Look at this. What a public service this has been this morning. Now, going back to the quiz, this was this came up on our maps and memes in the Portugal Club.
Okay.
And I posted the map that you can see there. And Antonio Ferreira guessed, what is that? Is it the dream vacation spot? And here we are zooming in.
Yeah,
now,
Europe.
I forgot to say what it was. And so he guessed, is it dream vacations? Now, in Ireland, why are they saying Greece? In Portugal, why are they saying Brazil? In Italy, why are they saying Sweden? What is the question that brings up those answers, do you think, Heather? And we have had some good guesses earlier on.
Okay, so we have Italy and Spain. Brazil and Portugal, and the Greece one has me a little thrown.
The best meatballs is one guess there. Where the most
IKEA does the best meatballs? Are you kidding me?
I'm not sure about that anymore.
Those are good.
Yeah, they're not as good as they used to be. But what is?
Oh, fair enough. Nothing is. Where do most immigrants come from? That makes sense because Brazil is the answer for
best meatballs.
for Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I'm going with
And
that.
pizza was another one. No, the answer is, where do the best looking men come from?
Oh, Brazil. Actually, I
Yes.
think the Portuguese men are gorgeous.
Right. And I'm a
Portuguese
bit
men
surprised.
are gorgeous.
But who knew? The Irish women and men, I guess, as well, think that the best looking men
Greece.
come from Greece. And
Interesting.
a lot of people around Europe think Italians are the most handsome. Oh, obviously the British are, with our teeth and everything.
Of course.
Yes.
I like beards, right? So, and
Beards
I
and
like
teeth.
dark hair.
Yes. Oh, okay. So yeah,
The Portuguese, a lot of the Portuguese men, yeah,
they do it for you, as it were.
the GNR guys, like
Oh my
they
goodness! Yes,
they
yes.
are so like badass,
It's a
like
good
they got that
uniform, isn't it?
attitude, which
For the win.
I
It's
guess I
really-
like, my husband's the fighter, whatever,
He
with the
is, isn't he?
beard and all that. So I guess I have a thing for that.
All right, but apparently Portuguese think Brazilians.
But
are the
this
most
is women or this is men?
I don't know. No, you're asking me difficult questions now.
Well, because it's different. Like,
Right.
I think the most beautiful women are Israeli. Have you seen the Israeli women? They're drop dead
yes.
gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I
Well,
go is Israel, and I would actually say Portugal for the men.
And Ukrainian as well, you might say too. Well, for Mel, it's Italy, and this we may
Italy for
continue
the
this on
win.
another occasion. More American problems and more beautiful people next time we speak, Heather. Oh, how's it going with Boots on the Ground Portugal, by the way?
It's good. We are very busy. We have a lot of queer, gay, trans clients coming by the truckload who are having issues in the US,
Right.
which I understand. A lot of Jewish clients, which I'm Jewish, so come this way. A lot of people that are just, unfortunately not happy with the situation, which is sad. Try to be empathetic and help be supportive, because it's not an overnight process for sure. And so yes, we're plugging away, but it's definitely more and more challenging. It's how it always is, which is like every X amount of time they're just like, okay, let's add this thing to it, let's do this, so needless to say, we offer free chat, and you can sign up on our website, bootsonthegroundpt.com, if you're looking for visa help and relocation assistance, kind of from A to Z.
Yep. There you go. Boots on the Ground PT.com is
there we go. Thank you.
Lots of talk about milk and growing up with cows this morning as well. Okay, very good. I imagine this conversation will run and run. It will when you return again and join us on one of your 2 monthly visits to the Good Morning Portugal show. Have a great day, Heather. Thank you for being here. Always fun chatting with you. Bye for now, everybody. We will see you. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a
Now, I talk to a wide range of people who can help you move to Portugal. My advice is to go to as many webinars and to talk to as many people for their first session and see what is a fit for you. That's the important thing, is to find out what works for you and your particular circumstances, because one of the most often heard responses to a question about Portugal will be, it depends. And it often depends on you, and it will depend on the circumstances, and it will depend on if the law's just changed, and it will depend on a whole range of things. So keep up to date, go to as many things as you can, and choose the people, find your tribe, find the people you vibe with, find the people who your intuition says, yes, these are the right people to work with. So just go to as many things and speak to as many people as you possibly can, would be my advice to you. But it depends, of course.
Carl rings a bell and